Thomas Wolfe famously said, "You can't go home again," meaning that once you leave and do some living, returning reveals a place so changed, it's just not the same anymore. Andy Griffith learned this lesson the hard way. In 1968, he walked away from the Andy Griffith Show, a show that was, at that exact moment, the #1 most watched program in all of America. He left because he was bored. He was desperate to prove to Hollywood that he wasn't just a simple country sheriff. He was a serious, dramatic actor. His first attempt was a 1970 series called Headmaster. He played the serious headmaster of a private school, dealing with the heavy issues of the day. The American public hated it. They were horrified to see their beloved, comforting Pa replaced by this preachy, urban intellectual. The ratings were a disaster. By January 1971, Headmaster was done. CBS, in a blind panic, didn't even wait. In that same month, they retooled the show and debuted the new Andy Griffith Show. Shockingly, it was gone only 4 months later, in May of 1971. Watching the show now, it's pretty easy to see why it failed. Andy Griffith himself later admitted he finally understood that Mayberry itself was the biggest star of his original show. People loved that idyllic town and wanted to visit it over and over. But the town of Mayberry was nowhere to be found in the new Andy Griffith Show. If you'd like to support the research we do to uncover deep stories like this one, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your support means we can continue to bring these untold truths to light. His name was no longer Andy Taylor, it was Andy Sawyer. But here comes the strange part, the truly bizarre part. In the pilot episode, to try and trick audiences into feeling at home, the producers brought in Mayberry characters. Not new actors, but the actual Goober, Emmett, and even Barney Fife. This is where your brain starts to hurt. These are the exact same characters from Mayberry, but somehow Andy is not Andy Taylor. He is Andy Sawyer, yet they know him just as intimately as they knew Andy Taylor. Barney even calls Andy Ange, his iconic nickname. How could this bizarro world be explained? Why have Griffith play a guy named Andy Sawyer and then bring in Mayberry characters who treat him like Andy Taylor? It's a head-scratcher. To make it even more confusing, all these Mayberry characters that show up in the premiere then vanish, never to be seen again for the rest of the short-lived series. But the strangeness doesn't stop there. To top it all off, Mayberry RFD, the official spin-off show that continued the Mayberry universe, was still on the air when the new Andy Griffith Show premiered. So CBS was simultaneously airing 2 different shows from 2 alternate universes, both existing in the Andy world. After watching that pilot, you're left with the feeling of, what did I just see? Which is exactly how viewers felt back then. The show was a desperate attempt to capture the feel of Mayberry with new, quirky, small-town residents. But it failed. So what was the thinking? Ratings, probably. It was a panicked Frankenstein's monster of a show stitched together from the corpse of Headmaster and the ghost of the Andy Griffith Show. Regardless, even if the show had been brilliant, it may not have worked. Because in 1971, CBS did something that is now legendarily known as the Rural Purge. In a shocking move, the network decided to dump all of its wonderful, popular, and highly rated family shows, including giants like Green Acres and the Beverly Hillbillies, in favor of what they considered more sophisticated urban programming. The irony is devastating. Andy Griffith had tried to give them a sophisticated show, Headmaster, but the audience rejected it. By the time he pivoted back, CBS had decided to cancel all things rural anyway. The new Andy Griffith Show was canceled in the Purge alongside its cousin Mayberry RFD. Times had changed, and like Thomas Wolfe said, you really can't go home again. Thank you so much for watching this story with us to the end. That Thomas Wolfe quote, "You can't go home again," was so true for Andy Griffith, wasn't it? Imagine leaving it all at the peak to become a serious actor, only to have the audience reject you. And then, just as you try to pivot back to your roots, the network comes along with the rural purge and cuts those roots out from under you. It's a true catch-22 story. Now we want to ask you, did you even know the new Andy Griffith Show existed? If you had been watching that Bizarro pilot, that moment Barney calls him Ange, what would you have thought? Would it have made your brain hurt, like the narrator said? And most importantly, do you think Andy Griffith made a career mistake by leaving Mayberry, or was it a risk he just had to take? We genuinely love reading your comments. That conversation is what keeps this channel alive. If you enjoyed this nostalgic dive and this weird corner of TV history, please hit that like button. And to make sure you don't miss any more of these forgotten TV stories, please subscribe. We'll see you again.